being ripped off at the Panama Canal.
Donald Trump wants Canada, Greenland, and now he's directing the Pentagon to draw up military plans for the Panama Canal.
And Panama's promise to us has been broken.
We oppose the abusive use of coercion or bullying tactics in international economic and trade relations.
The Panama Canal is vital to our country. It's being operated by China. China!
The world's geopolitical landscape is once again entangled in a fierce rivalry over the Panama Canal. This vital waterway, which connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, has become more than just a transit route for commercial vessels. It is now a focal point for the strategic ambitions of global superpowers. In particular, China's extensive port investments in the region and U.S. President Donald Trump's bold declarations about reclaiming control of the canal have brought long-simmering tensions in Latin America to the forefront. My administration will be reclaiming the Panama Canal, and we've already started doing it, President Trump announced.
My administration will be reclaiming the Panama Canal, and we've already started doing it.
Signaling Washington's determination to reassert its influence. Meanwhile, caught between the economic pressures of the U.S. and China's expansive infrastructure projects, Panama's government is carefully weighing its next steps. Why is China so unsettled by what Trump calls a triumph for Panama? What does this mean for Hong Kong-based companies operating in the region? And what measures is Beijing taking to counter Trump's efforts and maintain its foothold? Could the sale of shares in a Chinese company managing the canal's operations to U.S. investors truly disrupt Beijing's strategic plans? Furthermore, is Panama genuinely seeking to distance itself from China by withdrawing from the Belt and Road Initiative? Or is this merely a strategic maneuver aligned with Washington? Panama's president has firmly stated that the canal is, and always will be, Panamanian, emphasizing the nation's sovereignty. However, how long can Panama resist being overshadowed by these two global superpowers? In this analysis, we explore the implications of a U.S.-China rivalry on the Panama Canal and the potential new avenues these developments may open for global trade. In recent years, China has significantly expanded its strategic investments in Panama, strengthening its influence in the region. A crucial move in this strategy was Hong Kong-based CK Hutchison Holdings' acquisition of port operations at both ends of the Panama Canal. This was not merely an economic transaction, but a geopolitical maneuver, solidifying China's control over key trade and logistics corridors. A turning point in Panama's alignment with China came in 2017, when the Panamanian government severed diplomatic ties with Taiwan and formally recognized China. This diplomatic shift led to Panama joining China's ambitious Belt and Road Initiative, a global infrastructure and trade project aimed at enhancing Beijing's influence worldwide. Consequently, China's presence in Panama grew, raising concerns in Washington about the erosion of its historical dominance in the region. In response, President Trump, both during his election campaign and after assuming office, vowed to reassert U.S. control over the Panama Canal. Strongly opposing China's growing influence in the region, Trump's administration adopted a more assertive stance, making it clear that Washington would not allow its strategic interests to be undermined. A decisive moment came in February 2025 when Panama announced its withdrawal from the Belt and Road Initiative, marking a significant shift in its strategic relations with China. Shortly after, CK Hutchison agreed to sell its crucial port operations in the Panama Canal to a consortium of U.S. investors, led by the asset management giant BlackRock, for $22.8 billion. Just hours after the deal was made public, President Trump addressed Congress, triumphantly declaring, "My administration is going to take back the Panama Canal, and we've already started doing it." This announcement sent shockwaves through the geopolitical sphere. CK Hutchison's stock price plummeted by 8.5% in Hong Kong following a brief surge. China strongly opposed the sale, arguing that it had not authorized such a move and that it was a direct attempt by the U.S. to consolidate its dominance in the region. Sources close to Beijing's decision-making process revealed that China had originally intended to use the Panama port issue as a bargaining tool in negotiations with Washington. However, the sudden turn of events left Beijing scrambling to retain its strategic foothold. In response, China took swift action. A high-ranking delegation, led by Ma Hui of the International Department of the Communist Party Central Committee, visited Panama to assess the situation and reaffirm Beijing's commitment to the region. Meanwhile, Trump's administration hailed the deal as a significant victory against China's encroachment into America's backyard, an assertion that undoubtedly displeased Chinese President Xi Jinping. China's government did not shy away from criticizing the deal, condemning it as a betrayal and vowing to safeguard its interests. However, reversing the transaction is not a straightforward option. The assets in question lie outside mainland China and Hong Kong, and all parties involved have provided strong assurances that the deal will proceed as planned. While Beijing has largely refrained from escalating economic retaliation against Trump's latest round of tariffs, it is treading carefully to avoid exacerbating tensions. The $22.8 billion deal remains subject to final regulatory approvals, with completion expected by April 2nd. A U.S. State Department spokesperson welcomed the acquisition, stating, "This investment will reduce the problematic CCP presence in the Panama Canal zone." Panama's President Jose Raul Mulino took to social media to reaffirm his country's stance, stating, "The truth is the truth. The canal is and always will be Panamanian." Meanwhile, the Chinese embassy in Panama struck back, emphasizing that Latin American nations want independence and self-determination, not to live in the shadow of the Monroe Doctrine. China further asserted that its presence in the region enjoys widespread support, presenting itself as a reliable economic partner for Latin America. While both the U.S. and China accuse each other of using economic influence to serve their strategic interests, Panama remains determined to uphold its sovereignty. Though caught in the middle of a high-stakes geopolitical contest, the Panamanian government insists that canal transit remains firmly under its control, dismissing claims that the Chinese port facilities pose any military threat or compromise the canal's neutrality. The financial landscape also reflects shifting tides. C.K. Hutchison's financial statements show that as of June 2024, only 12% of its revenue originated from mainland China and Hong Kong, a significant decline from over 26% in 2015. The company now derives nearly half of its revenue from Europe and the United Kingdom. This trend highlights China's tightening control over domestic firms and the global reshuffling of trade alliances. Hong Kong's chief executive John Lee denounced what he described as bullying tactics in international trade, vowing that Hong Kong would handle the situation in accordance with legal frameworks. Yet, despite all these diplomatic maneuvers, Panama remains steadfast in its commitment to charting an independent course. President Mulino has repeatedly emphasized that the canal will never fall under control of another nation. Panama's challenge is to balance its strategic interests, maintaining beneficial trade relations with China while preserving strong diplomatic and economic ties with the United States. Given the U.S.'s security and economic priorities in the region, Panama must navigate these turbulent waters carefully to maximize its national interests.